This wasn't going to be an easy one. Okay, friends, we are back for stage 4 of the Zwift Unlocked series. So let's recap on last week's race.
Oh my God, it just keeps getting worse. I'm delirious. Oh.
I came third. I got a podium. I felt pretty darn awesome about myself. And my Zwift Racing Score went up by 50 points, which was hella cool. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm very aware that isn't for every race, because if I progressed at that rate, I'd be in Cat A by like next week. So I didn't go into this race expecting the exact same outcome or rate of progression whatsoever. Even if I did feel like a badass, I was trying not to let that get into my brain. This race is on the brand new New York Spinfinity, some 19 kilometers with just under 200 meters of climbing. Now, looking at the course map and the elevation profile, this one's like a proper mixed bag of everything. There's some punchy little climbs out of the subway system. There's some more longer undulating climbs around the bridges, and then there's some flat sections. So going into this, I was feeling just a little bit iffy, because not only is it a longer course, but that variety and undulation where it's just got a little bit of everything, I just didn't know how to really approach this race. Sure, I know the theory and the tactics, which you guys have been incredibly helpful with in the comments on my previous racing videos, but going into this one, I felt a little bit more unsure. Now, I'm not gonna lie, as I was warming up, I really wasn't vibing this. Now, I know I said that on the last video as well, but this week alone, personally, it's been a bit of a stressful week. It didn't really feel mentally, I was kind of like in the zone where I really wanted to like even do this, but it was literally the only window of opportunity I had, and I had to seize it. I was kind of happy to see that there were a lot more people in this race than last week, where there was like 16 people. This week there was like nearing 50, and I thought that should make it a little bit more interesting. And then the timer ticked down.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're off. Now, I think I'm actually getting a little bit better at these race starts. I really took on board a lot of feedback when it comes to positioning, wanting to be in that front pack, but kind of stay amongst the crowd where I can get as much of that draft boost as possible. And then it's not too long into the race where you actually get your first power up, and that's where I realized that you either get a draft or an aero on this route. I got a draft and decided to hold on to it until that first bit of a climb. Now, I would say within that first 1.5 kilometers, I knew this wasn't going to be an easy one. This group was hella strong in the front, and my heart rate was already escalating. My legs were already burning, and we had only just started. I think it's around 4K when things started to unravel a little bit for me. I know it's so early in the race. But we get to that first subway and we drop into it, and I notice I'm literally hanging off the back of this front group. I decided that I still had some more in me, so I really powered down to pull myself back into the mix. Although I was already breathing pretty hard at this point, which was definitely not a good sign given how much more of the race I had to go. Now, I also got myself another draft boost and decided to hold on to it right until we got to that steep, punchy subway exit. And this did actually propel me to the front of the group at the cost of like my lungs and my legs and pretty much everything I had in my body. So then I'm just kind of hanging on for dear life to this front group, really trying to keep it together. But in my mind, in my body, in my soul and my legs, I knew I couldn't hold on for much further. And then as we made it to Brooklyn Bridge, I could just feel that front pack slipping through my fingers, and there was just nothing I could do about it. The gap between me and them was growing far too big for me to chase. I just didn't have that in me today. So with more than half the course to go, I said goodbye to that front pack, accepted what was happening, and just planted myself into survival mode. And then it just gets a little bit lonely where I'm just kind of sat in 50th and I'm still trying to give it my all. And I don't know if it's because I didn't eat enough for breakfast, or maybe I didn't sleep well, or my legs weren't rested. I don't really know if I have solid excuses this time, but I just didn't feel like I had anything left in me today. What I did know though is that I wanted to complete this course. I still wanted to give it my all, even if it wasn't my best efforts. Then I hit that second subway and I'm pretty much totally alone at this point, and I'm just ticking off those kilometers, getting closer and closer to the finish line. And then with about 3K to go, I noticed the gap behind me was getting smaller and smaller. I was being chased. I really wanted to fend them off, hold on to my 18th place and see it through to the end. But my legs were so heavy and they just felt so empty. Actually, my whole body felt entirely empty. And as hard as I tried to fend them off with just 400 meters to go, they caught me. And then so did another. And then I noticed fellow countryman Arthur was gaining on me, and I was thinking, not today, friend, you are not getting past me. And then I got over the finish line, much to my absolute relief that it was over, and actually kind of happy that I finished closer to the front than I did to the back, as I had done in previous races. So looking at the numbers, my average power output during stage 4 was 2.4 watts per kilo, which is the same as it was during stage 3. Now I'm actually really happy about this because it means I managed to sustain that 2.4 watts per kilo average over a much longer distance than stage 3. So I'll be honest, that was a real struggle of a race. I found it really tough to actually try and pace myself as well, with so much undulation, short punchy little features, climbs, quick descent, the bridges, the flat bits. Like there was a lot going on in that route that I just felt like I just didn't know what I was doing at any given point. I'd push it really hard and then had to scale it back, then get dropped, then catch up. It was just, there was a lot going on there. Now let's talk about the mythical unicorn that's Zwift Racing Score. Sure, I know it's dynamic, and I was hoping that I would actually gain a couple of points, even just 1 point, because I did manage to sustain that power output from last week over a longer distance. I also placed closer to the start than I did to the end of the pack, and I survived, and I'm proud of myself. But I know Zwift doesn't really care about that. Nonetheless, I was absolutely devastated that my score dropped by like 30 points. What the frickety frick is up with that? Honestly, like I already had a tough race. To then see my score drop so much, it's like salt in the wound. I'm not feeling the best about myself, but I know this is racing. Don't get me wrong. I didn't swing into this race today thinking, check me out, I got a podium last week and 50 new racing points. Not at all. I am fully aware that there were a lot of variables that made the perfect storm as to why last week was so good for me. Mostly probably down to the course, I guess. Nonetheless, I am still bummed that my score went down so much. But I'm not going to let it deter me. This is not going to be the last time I race because we still got 1 more week to go. I'm hoping the course next week is going to be a more Jessica-friendly course. That would be fantastic. Once again, I want to say thank you to absolutely everyone who's reached out, giving me comments, advice and tips on racing, or even just words of support and encouragement. Like, it really does mean a lot, and this community is just freaking cool. But that's it from me this week. I'm sorry, it was probably my most lackluster video, but it's racing. It is what it is. What can I say? I am not deterred, and I will be back next week, so I will catch you in the next one.